Hey, Queen.
Hey, Queen.
Hey, Queen.
Sister, you, Miss Thing, are courageous. You are dynamic. You are principled.
You do know that you're that girl, right?
Doing right by yourself never goes out of style.
Everything about you is majestic and a force to be reckoned with.
Greetings to one and all at home and abroad. Welcome to the show that brings home the bread of all that is women around the world. This is Tales of a Housewife, Africa, the matriarch. I am the wife of the show, Cornelia Chimalizeni, exclusively only on African Eyes Radio, your revolutionary radio. Get in here, dear listeners, because your daily cup of tea is about to be served hot. I'm coming to you live on African Eyes Radio, and this is your favorite neighborhood housewife, Cornelia Chimalizeni, presenting Tales of a Housewife, Africa, the matriarch. Dear listeners, today is a hot one. Now, you know, as a housewife, we always say, if you cannot handle the heat, get out of the kitchen. Now, with that being said, dear listeners, today I will be serving a cup of supraliminal and subliminal messages. Woo! Hot! Growing up is easy. The hard part comes in when we start being taught things, when from a young age we must adapt and accustom ourselves like a sponge in water to all that is happening around us. And growing up as a little girl, we have different desires to what we want our life to be when we grow up. You see, the environment we live in serves as a canvas for our little selves to imagine what could be, what might be. We have dreams to pursue, and to do so, we enact that which suits our possible life ahead. We enact that which presents itself to us in the immediate surrounding, in the immediate environment we are growing up in. That is why it is paramount to maintain an environment that is clean and suitable to encourage positive growth, and also positive elders to imitate and watch for growing a foundation for our own future and likely our own families. This is why we encourage families to remain together as best as they can, to provide this positive foundation that is built on love and the togetherness of family. Of course, we live in a world that discourages the unity of family, and this is especially for the Black African family. Whoa, I told you to get hot. Now, I say this in the truest form, although many will try to object and judge me wrong, but I dare you to go out to your nearest grocery store, any store you choose. Look at the pictures on the products of the family. Now, for a certain race, you will find that most products depicting the entire family unit is that of the Caucasian race. With the Black family, with the African Black family, you will find that only the woman is present on the packaging. These are facts, dear listeners. These are facts that you do not need Google for. You can simply walk into the aisles of your major retailers and look. I dare you to do so. Go out right now. If you're in the store right now, if you're looking or listening to this right now and you're in the grocery store, take a look. Take a look, dear listener, and prove me wrong. There are subliminal messages that have ulterior motives of keeping the Black family separated and divided in everything. These subliminal messages are especially designed for the young girls growing up into young women and all the young women who are soon to be mothers themselves. These subliminal messages are skillfully put in place to discourage young men from taking responsibility for their children, and also the responsible men are to assume that certain duties or certain items on the shelves are specifically for the women in their lives, and they are simply to make money and give their wives or girlfriends or partners to go and do the shopping. We need to do away with this notion of living. We need to do away with not recognizing what is being put just on face value. We need to go deeper, because these packagings, they all have meaning and they all have intentions for that meaning. So you as the consumer, you need to be aware of what you're buying into or what you are influenced to buy. The conversation is subliminal and supraliminal messages, dear listener. So if you're just joining us, welcome, welcome, welcome. Your cup of tea is being served hot. Remember, your friendly neighborhood housewife does not repeat gossip twice. Only facts, baby, only facts. I am your host, Cornelia Chimalizeni, live only on African Eyes Radio, your revolutionary radio.
Identify, internalize, progress.
If you want truth, we are the truth. Come rain or shine, you will find what you're looking for. We are the custodians of the truth. The surgeons that bring light out from the darkness. You want the revolution? We are the revolution. This is
The revolutionary.
You are listening to the Revolutionary Radio, African Eyes Radio. If you are just joining us, thank you for doing so. Those who have been with me throughout, thank you for sticking around. Welcome back to the show that brings home the bread of all that is women around the world. This is Tales of a Housewife, Africa, the matriarch. I am the housewife of the show, Cornelia Chimalizeni, exclusively only on African Eyes Radio, your revolutionary radio. Before I go into the hottest waters of the discussion, I want the listeners to know exactly what subliminal and supraliminal messages are. What is this? Every single day, we are exposed to innumerable amounts of audio and visual input. That input possesses no meaning whatsoever. It is how our brain processes the data that gives the input any sort of meaning or context. And the creators of such content know exactly what they are scheming to get their message across. They are designing these adverts, these pictures, these videos to serve a certain purpose for the consumer, to the consumer. So you, as the person who is on the receiving end, you are not aware of this. And I will tell you why. As consumers, we all have been subjected to hidden messaging. The communications have been in the form of subliminal messages and supraliminal messages. Before we take a deep dive into those types of messages, to understand these types of messages, there is one critical concept that must be understood. And this is the concept of absolute threshold. Absolute threshold is the degree of intensity required of a stimulus to be detectable by the human senses 50% of the time. So here's an example, dear listener, for you to better understand the absolute threshold. Imagine you enter a very dark room from a well-lit room. It takes a few moments for your eyes to adjust, right? As your eyes are adjusting to the darkness, you notice a lit candle. The moment you are able to notice the lit candle, to perceive the lit candle, is the absolute threshold. The absolute threshold is the smallest amount of light that you can detect. So this is basically, I can say, dear listener, how can I now give a better For example, oh, okay, those moments when you realize or you get in tune to the message, or you have found out what the message is actually trying to say behind what it is saying. That, oh, moment. That is the absolute threshold, dear listener. And it always happens. It is always happening. And here's an example now. Back in the early days of recorded media, there was a scourge where now it was alleged that to be making its way through movie theaters, okay, movies and things, researchers claimed to have proof that a visual image put into the film for a split second, for a fraction of a second, would nevertheless lodge itself into the viewer's mind. The victims, of course, the people who are on the receiving end. For instance, it would say, the message would say, you're hungry. Then the people, the viewers, would be compelled to go out and buy more snacks, buy more popcorn, buy more juice, whatever they were enjoying at that moment, or whatever would suit their hunger or fill their hunger at that moment. Okay, now this quickly expanded in the popular imagination to compel to do whatever they tell you to. No matter how bizarre or expensive the compulsion, viewers wouldn't be able to help themselves. We also see this in, for example, for me as a housewife. Okay, there are things that I like. There are things when maybe I'm watching something and something is put there. Ooh, I would like that. Or it's a simple thing as a nice hand towel, and I already am imagining it or seeing it in the bathroom that, ooh, but that would look nice. Okay, and already now I'm also comparing the towel to my wall. But if I could add something to spice up that wall, oh, that would look nice. Okay, and it does not matter how long I perceived the image or the video, but the idea was already planted. The seed was already put in place, and then it grows as time goes by. It grows that maybe you will find yourself now walking past a window and you see something that, oh, but those shoes would go very well with that bag or with that belt, or ooh, the husband would look really, really delicious in that. You know, it's those seeds that have been planted, and it's these content creators that want that reaction. That seed must grow. And remember, that is when now adverts will change, because they need to now upgrade you to wanting and upgrade you to now going and buying into what was advertised or whatever was put in for advertising, or the video that you had watched. The message got across, and what they want is your reaction, be it negative, positive, but it is at the end of the day a reaction. You are listening to the Revolutionary Radio, African Eyes Radio.
Identify. Internalize. Progress.
If you want truth, we are that truth. Come rain or shine, you'll find what you're looking for. We are the custodians of the truth. The surgeons that bring light out from the darkness. You want the revolution? We are the revolution. This is
The Revolutionary.
If you are just joining us, thank you for doing so. Those who have been with me throughout, thank you for sticking around. Welcome back to the show that brings home the bread of all that is women around the world. This is Tales of a Housewife, Africa, the matriarch. I am the housewife of the show, Cornelia Chimalizeni, exclusively only on African Eyes Radio, your revolutionary radio. Talking talking about reactions, dear listener, I would love to hear from you. I would love to hear your opinions and your views on the subject at hand, which is supraliminal and subliminal messages. What do you think of the discussion so far? What have you been compelled to go and buy? Whether you wanted it or not, or whether you planned for it or not, and what was it that was used to compel you to go and buy something you did not need or did not want? Do let me know, dear listener, on the number 079-089-3671. Once again, the number is 079-089-3671. It has a ring to it, doesn't it? You can also post it on our social media platforms, and remember to hashtag Tales of a Housewife, hashtag African Eyes Radio, your revolutionary radio. So if you have just joined us, dear listener, welcome. Your favorite neighborhood housewife is serving a hot cup of tea of supraliminal and subliminal messages. These are those that compel us or affect us or affect us in terms of buying into a scheme that has been advertised or is an advertisement. These are those that plant a seed within us, within our mind, and within our subconscious that we cannot detect immediately, but later on, while our brain is processing things, it brings it back and forth, and then something can click and will cause us to buy something that we do not need, or to buy something that we can later use. It can be as simple as a dress that doesn't fit now, and then you plan for it to fit later. Your favorite neighborhood housewife has done that before, buying clothes that don't fit right now, planning for them to fit at a later stage. Do let me know. Do share these stories. WhatsApp us on the line 079-089-3671. Do let me know. Now, going back into our subject, our hot cup of tea and a slice of cake, okay? Most people are familiar with subliminal messages. Subliminal messages are defined as signals below the absolute threshold level of our conscious awareness. That means, dear listener, that you cannot become consciously aware of a subliminal message. No matter how hard you try to detect it, it just doesn't happen. So while you may have heard many stories about subliminal messages in advertising, this may not have been the case. It may have been the instance of subliminal messaging. It might have been supraliminal messaging. Okay, take for instance the advert from what can I give you, dear listener? Vodka. Absolute Vodka, to be specific. Absolute Vodka has in bold letters the word subliminal, of which you can easily see their supposed subliminal message is quickly disqualifying it from being subliminal. Remember, you cannot consciously perceive a subliminal message. Another one I would like to throw at you, dear listener, is one of Kelly Khumalo going through this entire case of the Senzo Meyiwa case. Now, she now wants to go on stand and state her facts. She's ready to do a rebuttal for advocate day for. Now she posts a video, okay, of her stating the fact that she had no part in it, etc. And she goes on and talks her case, or states her case or her standing in the regard of the murder of Senzo Meyiwa. And right there in front of the camera, poised and well, is a glass of gin. And what does the gin say? What does the gin say on the bottle? Controversy. So remember, you cannot detect it immediately. It also took me a minute, okay? And there is a whole lot of controversy that is surrounding the Senzo Meyiwa case. A lot of controversy going around, taking part in the media as well. A lot of controversy in terms of Kelly Khumalo being part and parcel of that case. Okay, and she's sipping that controversy and she's swallowing it all down. What does it mean? There is a lot that we can go into to dissect what it means, but she's drinking controversy gin. And I'm telling you, dear listeners, one does not position a bottle of gin to show the name of the gin just because they can. It's a statement on its own. All right, you positioning it so that the words show properly, the label, the amount of gin in there, the gin in your cup, and the state or the condition of your face as well. It all has meaning. All right, and her putting it in there also is for her fans. It's like she's opening up this controversy purse, this controversy aspect of the whole case of Senzo Robert Meyiwa. All right, so there is a whole lot of digging to be done here, dear listener. A whole lot of digging. But remember, your friendly neighborhood housewife does not repeat gossip twice, only once. Facts, baby, are continuous and consciously on repeat. Even though we fail to notice them the most at times, and this is because they are perceived above the absolute threshold. Usually when you hear stories or read posts about subliminal advertising, they are usually supraliminal tactics. And it's good to know the difference so that when you become aware of the face value that packaging and audio and video has effect on you, you are able to not always buy into what is being fed to you. Supraliminal messages and subliminal messages. That is what we are talking about, dear listener. All right. Here's another example now. In the late 1990s, a study was conducted in a British supermarket. Over a 2-week period, German and French music were played from a display featuring German and French wines. On the days that German music was played, 73% of wine that was sold was German. And on French music days, 77% of the wine that was sold was French. This means that if you were at that supermarket during their test buying days of wine, you were 3 to 4 times more likely to purchase wine that matched the music. This just goes to show that the music's influence on the buyers was an enormous one. And about 86% of the participants say that the tunes had no effect on them. But obviously we can see, or statistics show in percentage, that it had a big influence on them. And this is a prime example of supraliminal messaging. The external stimulus was able to be detected and there was a behavioral effect thereof. So, dear listener, if you are walking in a grocery store right now and you are listening to this, remember that the white noise, the music that is playing in the background in the store that you are in, can affect your buying power or your buying option. For example, there is a reason why adverts are repeated in the shop with things that are either on promotion or new brands that have just come in, or maybe a 3 for 2, or whatever the case is being stated in the advert. They are ultimately targeting you to hear this so that it can influence your buying or your option. Okay, and you will hear it and you think, let me go see, and you are more likely to buy into a bargain. I mean, ladies, Hey, we love bargains. We are made for the sale day. We are made for that bargain anytime, any day of the week. Okay, broke or not, we plan for the bargains. All right, and most of the times you find that we make a list at home. I'm buying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 items. You go to the shop, you listen to some promotions. Unconsciously now or subconsciously, you are going to that aisle. You are going to that aisle and you are going to get those things that are on promotion, because buying in bulk is better, right? So you go out there, you buy these things, you buy into the advert as well, and you end up going home with a whole suitcase load of groceries that you did not plan against with your 8 items that you originally went to the store for. So ladies, do let me know. Join the conversation. What have you been compelled to buy? What tunes continue to play a role in your life? Or what advert you can still remember now that made you, oh, I want that. I want that. All right? Or you might have children, fathers, mothers, guardians. What played a role, or what compelled you to buy something that you did not want? And now this is the thinking part. You really need to think a little bit on this one, because remember, supraliminal messages you cannot detect consciously, okay? Subliminal either. So you have to give it a thought. But give it a thought. Do get in touch on the number 079-089-3671. WhatsApp us on that number, dear listener. I would like to know your views, your comments, your experience with subliminal and supraliminal messages. What effect did these have on you, on your life, in your loved ones' lives? Are you a husband, watching your wife wasting some money on things that just don't work? Yay! This brings me back to my mother. She would watch adverts, and back in the day, it was very Mark that was doing the ads, okay, to make life easy for the housewife, to make life easy. There were objects and gadgets, like, for example, the egg crusher, or my favorite, the onion chopper. My mother bought different types and kinds of onion choppers in the house that, we were even tired. All right, I prefer the knife. The knife, you can never go wrong. Okay, if it goes dull, you don't need to go and buy yourself a knife sharpener. Okay, you have cement somewhere outside, you have a step, go outside and just sharpen it back into the kitchen, make the pots go krpa. All right, so the subject of supraliminal and subliminal messages. Here's another example. All right, now my ladies, this one is for you, especially the chocolate lovers. Take the chocolate Toblerone. This is the famous triangular Swiss chocolate that you will find being advertised front and center in grocery stores, right? This particular chocolate comes from Bern, Switzerland. And Bern sits in the shadows of Matron Mountain. And the city is also known as the City of Bears. So right there, for all to see, one can find the roots of the company hidden cleverly in their logo. Additionally, there's no doubt you have also received a package from Amazon. For my online shoppers, and there's no doubt you have noticed that the arrow makes a smile, right? But did you notice, or have you noticed, that the arrow is pointing from A in the word Amazon and to the Z in the word Amazon, all right? Which also is being used to remind the consumers of the wide range of products one can find at Amazon. A to Z, Amazon, okay? And hey, if you didn't know, now you know. All thanks to your friendly neighborhood housewife. Tales of a housewife here, dear listener. Do stay tuned. Do stay in touch on 0790893671. You can also post on our social media platforms. We are on Instagram as African Eyes Radio. All right, we are on YouTube, African Eyes Radio. All right, African Eyes Radio, your revolutionary radio. If you didn't know, now you know. And knowing is half the battle, dear listeners. And with that being said, let us get into the heated waters that I had mentioned. And if you cannot stand the heat, then get out of the kitchen. So saith your friendly neighborhood housewife.
Identify. Internalize. Progress.
If you want truth, we are the truth. Come rain or shine, you will find what you're looking for. We are the custodians of the truth. The surgeons that bring light out from the darkness. You want the revolution? We are the revolution. This is
The revolutionary.
If you are just joining us, thank you for doing so. Those who have been with me throughout, thank you for sticking around. Welcome back to the show that brings home the bread of all that is women around the world. This is Tales of a Housewife, Africa, the matriarch. I am the housewife of the show, Cornelia Chimalizeni, exclusively only on African Eyes Radio, your revolutionary radio. Growing up is easy. All right? The hard part comes in when you are exposed to the world, having to learn what is good for you and what is generally difficult or bad for you. All right, all this is difficult because everyone and everything in the world you live in is there to take something from you and replace it with something else. And as a little girl, there is a lot that you need to look out for, little girl. As a mother, there are many things you will need to keep away from your children until a certain age where they can discern for themselves reality and make believe. As a woman, well, the challenge is as close to a mother as it gets, dear listener, because you are there to live a life that will give you a comfortable future, also in a world that wants you to be uncomfortable, as it profits the most when you are more likely to give up and therein become a dependent individual in a world that highly discriminates against dependent and or independent women. And in this case, it does not matter what race you are. The world wants you to fail. The world needs you to remain downtrodden, but also remain beautiful. I mean, how does that work? Where now, I say, where in the world have you ever seen a beautiful sewage? Please let me know. Send me locations, dear listener, because maybe I would like to set up shop there and produce this show from there. All right? Now, in the case of the African woman, the challenge comes into play to the power of 10, where subliminal and supraliminal messages encourage her to be and remain single, to sing her independence and her ability to not need a man in her life so openly. I am better off alone than with him. Or, I grew up without a dad and my children can do so too. Or, a man can't provide for me all that I want and need, so I can do it for myself. And I'll show him that I can manage on my own. Woo, honey. There are just some of the examples of supraliminal and subliminal messages taking effect you get from the movies you are watching and from the music that you are listening to. These are the same messages that your children are hearing, the same messages that boys and young men are exposed to in turn. They grow up to believe that women do not need them in their lives. They grow up assuming that it is okay to leave their partner with a child and not help in any way because they can do better without them, or they can survive without a cent from them. Take the hashtag men are trash. I have never seen a trashier hashtag on the internet. Offensive, down out wrong. Not all men are trash, and making it out there or putting it out there that men are trash, bundling up men in one little hashtag, that is offensive. And even for me as a woman, it is offensive. Okay, I'm not raising up young boys to be trash. I'm sorry. All the women that were supporting this hashtag, you can do better, dear sister. You should be doing better. You should recognize better. These are the kind of messages that mold boys into the men they are today. And these same messages are they that mold women to become what they are today. The foul language, the abuse in movies and television shows, the killings portrayed particularly of the black man by the black man. These are also the same messages that cause the killings of the black race and continue doing so through brutality, racial wars, hatred, etc., just to name a few. Because other races, mind you, are also watching the same things and listening to the same music, which tells them that these people in particular are a bunch to be taken advantage of. They do not have self-respect to go and save their women from their men, because ultimately the man always leaves, or they look elsewhere to satisfy their desires where they cannot find satisfaction within their own race. The same subliminal and supraliminal messages tell others to hold on to their purses tightly when the black man comes close, or throw money out when you catch the wandering eye of a black woman. As stereotypical as it all sounds, dear listener, I'm aware, but these are facts. And they continue to play out in the real world every single day, and they will continue to do so whether you choose to realize it or not. Whether you choose to accept it or not, prevent it or not, these are the facts laid out and bare and naked for you by your favorite neighborhood housewife. Have a glass of water so that we can continue swimming to the deep ends of these hot waters, dear listener, so that we have now gone into details, and it's only going to get hotter than lava, baby, hotter. Remember, we do not repeat gossip twice, only facts. So if you have just joined us, we are talking about supraliminal and subliminal messages. Get in here, especially you ladies. I want to know from your opinions on the topic and experiences that might have come to light in or to mind whilst listening to the show. Once again, keep in mind that we only repeat gossip once, and we rant on continuously, consciously, with the facts. Facts only. I have had an awesome time. Thank you for being with me, sticking around. I'll be back same time tomorrow. I am Cornelia Chimalizeni on Tales of a Housewife Africa, the matriarch. Only on African Eyes Radio, your revolutionary radio. I have had a wonderful time sharing with you the topics of the day. I am your favorite friendly neighborhood housewife, Cornelia Chimalizeni, on the talk show that brings home the bread of all that is women around the world. This is Tales of a Housewife Africa, the matriarch, exclusively only on African Eyes Radio, your revolutionary radio. Join me again tomorrow at 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. Central African Time. Coming up is current affairs. Stay tuned.